Ha-simcha is, we don't get there until we die. In the guf, we can't, the guf, the ha-simcha is the chelik alikami mal. That is God. Ha-simcha beheya yediyah is God. That's not us. We, in this guf, we never get to ha-simcha. We'll see soon how it fits into Torah Chavdal. But simcha is the place in simcha, mitzvah is besimcha tamid, in the place of besimcha, that's a place where atzvas, where we grab the atzvas and the marashchor to be part of it. That's the tamid, which we'll get to in a second. So, as we leave Torah Chav, not leave, temporarily go into Torah Chavdalin, what we come out from Torah Chav Gimel is that the Iyun of Iyun HaSimcha is all the places. It's HaSimcha, it's Simcha, and Sameach. In the Iyun, in the topic of Simcha, everything lies there. But because in HaSimcha is all these places. However, the place of HaSimcha, which the Rebbe says at the end of the Torah, is Kedusha. In Kedusha, there is no Tumah. The Tumah doesn't want to be part of Kedusha. That's what the Rebbe says over here. So we have to force the Tumah into the Kedusha. How do we force the Tumah into Kedusha? Not in the place of HaSimcha. In the place of Simcha. That's the place of the circle. So in other words, HaSimcha is in the middle. Simcha is the circle. The emotion that I'm feeling, which is the most chitzonius part, which is also the circle, is sameach. Outside the circle is atzvas and marashchayra. And that's how we walk away from Torah Chav Gimel. One more very important point before we go weiter. The Rebbe said that be'eis hasimcha derech hayogim v'anocha lamoid menatzad. In the time of Simcha, the Yogim Anocha stands on the side. And previously, earlier in the Torah, the Rebbe said, Kish'adam Sameach, when the person is happy, the emotion, Aza Marashcheret Nistalkim Menatzad. Not that it's Lamoid Menatzad, it's Nistalkim Menatzad. So which one is it? Wait, and another question. The Rebbe says the Yogim Anocha Nasim Ubarchim, they run away, and the Rebbe says so which one is it? This seems like there's three stages here. There's a stage of Marush Chayra v'Yisurim Nistalkim Menatzad. There's a stage of Yogim Anocha that's Lamoid Menatzad, and then there's a place of Yogim Anocha that's Nasim Ubarchim. If you look at three different ways the Rebbe says it here. So, what's going on? So, which one is it? So we said, and I just want to review it. Sos Yogim V'Anocha is a much more internal place of Marashchayra and Atzvus. That means Yogim V'Anocha is the source of the Marashchayra and the Atzvus. What is the Yogim V'Anocha? Yogim is the agony, the pain, and the Anocha is the groan. And Atzvus is sadness, and Marashchayra is depression. The Rebbe also brings two other lashonos of daigas, worries, and yisurim, and pain. And we said this. So I'm saying that it really starts off in its original version. It starts off as pain, Yagain and Anocha. That Yagain and Anocha turns into Atzvus and Marashchayra. And then it becomes Yisurim. It becomes pain. That means that in the negative side of how do we get to my negative emotion of Atzvus? It starts off with now. So how do we define that? Yagain v'Anocha is the pain of the disconnection from Kedusha, because we're all born connected to Kedusha. And then the Rebbe, you'll see soon in Torah of Dalet, the Rebbe goes into what disconnects us from the Kedusha, what takes us away from the Kedusha. Life's challenges are what condition us, and what happens is there's a pretend me and there's the real me. And we live be'etzem in the pretend me because of life circumstances, because of reality, because we are integrating into the world that we're living in. we're living a pretend me, and at times we find certain moments where we feel the real me. So what's always preventing me from seeing the real me? My ego. That's what prevents me. That my ego, what is ego? Ego is a protection of my weaknesses. Because I'm living in a world that I want to navigate through my reality, so I have strengths and I have weaknesses. By taking my strength from somewhere else to protect my weakness, that's called ego. And that's why we can act out with ego. Everybody has ego. Nobody doesn't have ego. Why? Because we're living in the world that if we don't have this protection, some sort of protection, we don't know how to navigate ourselves. That protection is the disconnection from self, from who I really am. Because who I really am is the neshama, and the neshama doesn't know how to live in this world. So I need a little bit of ego. The neshama is completely nullified to God. There's zero. What's bittul? Bittul means I become bottled to it. I become included in it. So no, in order for me to really be included, that's why a person has to die. Because the guf cannot be included. We will be able to live in the paradox of a materialistic Adam Rishon when he was created. Was before he got kicked out of Gan Eden, was his neshama he had no clothing. He didn't need clothing because his neshama and his guf were mamish one. And it says that just like nails, the only thing that's left of a person, what is the nail? The nail is a shell that sees through, right? You see through the nail. The nail is the only transparent part of the body. That's the only thing that's left to us from Adam Rishon before the Chet. Adam Rishon before the Chet, his body was skin and nail, like a nail. I don't know if it was like a nail. It was completely transparent. As soon as he ate from the Eitz Hadas, he had to cover himself with leaves because he recognized that he's naked. The Torah says that he recognized that he's naked. He had to cover himself. So that means that the tzimtzum of a body in its original format was one with the neshama. There was no, it was one. Everything was transparent. But it was in a shape of a man, shape of a human. It's not the neshama, it's connection to the neshama, because we are a guf. But the ego is what the way we integrate into the world is through ego, because the neshama has no ego. And in order for us to be able to integrate, we need some sort of ego. But what is the ego? Really, it's a protection of my weaknesses. If you go to the next layer and the next layer, I'm protecting, everybody's born with strengths and weaknesses. I'm protecting my weaknesses with my strength from somewhere else. And we all do. All the weaknesses are only in the reality of existence. And the neshama is in existence in the spiritual world, not in the physical world. The physical world in the physical world we have weaknesses and strength. Let me ask you a question. The autistic child, his neshama is any different than my neshama? He can't function. The person who has ALS, I learned with the guy that has ALS, he can't move. But he hears and he communicates with me, but he's trapped in his own body. But is he any different in his fakir? I look at him as a Kaddish V'Torah. This guy has nothing in the world but Torah. You understand? There's nothing that gives him delight but Torah. Everything that's physical is dead by him. He has no functionality in his body at all. So by him, his neshama and his guf are one, because he's integrating into the world. He's integrating the world with one way. He can only communicate with his eye. So he has no ego. So he has no ego. You understand what I just said? Zero ego. This guy he has nothing to protect, because the only way he could communicate is with his eye. So his eye is not communicating with strength, it's communicating from weakness. So the real place, the avodah that we have in this world is to get rid of the weakness. The more we accept our weaknesses, and why do we have weaknesses? Because from the weaknesses we connect to Hashem. From the strengths, it's harder to connect to Hashem. It's a crazy thing that I'm saying. We could connect to Hashem with our strengths once we recognize our weakness. Because Hashem oiz la'amayiten. Where's strength really coming from? From the Eibishter. The Eibishter is giving us strength. So the Eibishter gave us weaknesses and strengths, and the challenge is to accept the weaknesses and not cover our weaknesses with our strengths, which is ego. And the more how do we do that? By accepting our weaknesses, and then our strengths become connected. How do you accept weakness? Hashem, you gave me this. It's all you. It's all you. And I'm weak, and I don't have the ability to do this, or whatever each person within his weaknesses, right? So when he's connecting from Hashem to Hashem with his weakness, then even his strengths become connected to Hashem. But if he's not able to connect to Hashem from his weaknesses, then his strengths are a koichi v'oitzim yadi. Because he's not recognizing that he's not humble. He can't be humble because he's only showing his strengths. And he's protecting his weaknesses with his strengths so that you don't see his weakness. So he uses his strength that he really has to protect and shelter his weakness. That's called ego. That brings to narcissism. That brings to evilness. Blaming and complaining is ego. That's all it is. It's ego saying that it's not my fault. Whatever happened in this incident is because of you, or because of you, or even because of me. But it's also ego. You understand? Even when you're blaming yourself, it's also ego. It's because I don't want to accept that this came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that when my wife gives space, it's really Hashem talking to me. And when I have a financial struggle or nachas for my child, Hashem is talking to me. And we always blame the messenger. We don't listen to the message. Once we have who to blame, then the message is not relevant, because that guy, once I discredit the messenger, then the message is not negay anymore. So I don't have to feel bad about the message because I discredited the messenger. It's my wife, it's my child, this is what we do. We blame, and if we can't blame them, we blame ourselves in order not to get the message. It's my fault. So, Memela, the message is not negeo. Stupid head. It's a message. Forget about the messenger. The message is from Hashem. All messages are from Hashem. Doesn't mean that the messenger is right for doing the message, but we get stuck in that place because we are trapped in not accepting our weaknesses. And all Hashem does in all the challenges that we're going is recognize your weakness. So ego, and this is the part that I want to get to. Ego is protecting my weakness with my strength. Ego is the disconnector from the place of hasimcha, from self, from the place of kedusha. Ego is what conditions us to be the pretend me, that it separates me from the real me. So the Rebbe is telling us that when you are able to connect to your self, which is kedusha, which is hasimcha, which is a chelik elikay mimal, then you have the superpower to now face and confront your yogin v'anocha, your atzas amarashchayra, because you don't have to be afraid of it, because you can overcome it. You're faster than it. Not only can you overcome it, but you can actually transform it and add it to your simcha inventory and make your simcha even bigger than you had before by bringing your yogin v'anocha into the simcha. And that's what the Rebbe is telling us in Torah Chav Gimel. So now it's meduyik, these three stages. We said stage one was kisha adam sameach, when the person is feeling an emotion of happiness. Happiness makes Marish Chayra and Yisurim are allergic to happiness. They remove themselves to the side. But when you then go and chase the Marish Chayra to bring it into the circle, now you changed, you undressed, you unclothed, you unlayered the Marish Chayra to Atzvus to its original form of ego that's called Yagoin Va'anacha, which is the place that disconnected me from Hasimcha in the first place. Because I'm now going to the Shirish. Why did I have Marish Chayra and Atzvus? I brought it in, now I'm confronting it. And when I see it on its surface level, I'm depressed, I'm in pain. But when I bring it into the circle, when I'm now chasing it to confront it, now I bring it into the circle, that now I unlayered it to the original source of Yagim V'Anocha. And when I unlayer it to the original source of Yagim V'Anocha, the Yagim V'Anocha says, Be'eis HaSimcha, Derech HaYagim V'Anocha Lamoid Min Hatzad. What does Lamoid mean? Standing. It doesn't say it removes itself to the side. What is ego? Ego is a stance. Ego is I'm making a stance and a protection. I'm gonna, if you ever get angry, which I get angry a lot, but you'll see that even if, by the way, anger is not just the expression of anger. Anger is the feeling, and everybody feels angry. Some people act out, some people don't act out. And some people are aggressive with their acting out. Some people are passive aggressive. What does passive aggressive means? That they pretend to be passive, but their passiveness is aggressive. And you can hear it in languages from people that they try to manipulate their aggression in a passive way. By being, that means they're even more in pretend, because they're living in the world, and they know that if they're going to be aggressive and be outwardly aggressive, they're not going to be accepted. So they go even disconnect even more from self, and they come to a place called passive aggressive, where they're able to be aggressive in manipulation passively. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I think we all know what I'm talking about. So when you unlayer the Marish Chayra and the Atzvus into a place of Yagim V'Anocha, now you're seeing the Yagim V'Anocha standing. You see it. It's on your radar. It's Lamoid Min Hatzad. Before, when it removed itself, I didn't see what it was. All I saw was depression and sadness. Once I went and confronted it, and I went to get it, and I was chasing it, now I bring it into the circle. Now I see that it's Lamoid, that it's Yagim V'Anocha. But once the Yagim V'Anocha, so the Yagim V'Anocha says like this: it's Eis HaSimcha, it's the time of Simcha, and in the time of Simcha, it's a moment. It's I'll give you your time of Simcha. As soon as your time of Simcha is over, I'm coming back to you to bring Marish Chayra and Atzvus. I'm going to bring it back to you. Says the Rebbe, but now that you see that it's Yagim V'Anocha, and now you chase the Yagim V'Anocha, and it's in the circle already, but you're forcing the Yagim V'Anocha to be B'Simcha. Now the Yagim V'Anocha is running away. And where is it running? It's running in the circle. The Yagim V'Anocha has no option. It has one option, two options. One option is to be Lamoid Min Hatzad and wait for the Eis HaSimcha to go by, or it has to run. Where does it run? In the circle. So when you're chasing the Yagim V'Anocha, you're chasing it. That's why the Rebbe, if you look at the Lashonos, in the Nimshal, the first part, the Rebbe says, Nimtza, Shechoytev HaMarish Chayra Machnes Oisa Bal Korcha L'Toich HaSimcha Kamoshel. And then when he talks about the Yagim V'Anocha, at the end he says, Al Kein Tzorch L'Achriach Oisam. So that means the last final, there were 3 steps in the mashal. Step 1 was Lachtoiv Choytfen Ish Echad Mibachutz. The second step was Machnisim Oisoi Bal Korcha L'Toich Mechoy Lameragdim. And the third step was Machrichem Oisoi. So where are the 3 steps in the Nimshal? The first 2 steps happen when first it starts with Nistalkim and Atzad. First, I need to feel sameach. I need to be, the emotion needs to be sameach. And then, when I feel sameach, there's a Maila Yisera to run after it. And when I run after it, what happens? Now it comes into the circle. I snatched it and brought it into the circle. But it's still Marish Chayra and Atzvus. The last stage is when I got him into the circle, I unlayered it from Marish Chayra and Atzvus to a place of Yogoin V'Anocha. And now that it's Yogoin V'Anocha, it's waiting on Lamed Menatzad, it's waiting for the Eis HaSimcha to go. Says the Rebbe, no. Now you have the ability you have Sosim V'Simcha because you're already connected to Sosim V'Simcha. You have ability to force it into and become Simcha, to become Ha-Simcha. And then perhaps, by the way, Mendy, perhaps that's when you taka get to Ha-Simcha. So anyway, the point is, I think this is a big revelation in Torah of Gimel, and with this is the platform that I want to go into Torah of Dalet. It's what I think spirituality looks like in my subconscious, and I was able to tap into my subconscious, into the place of spirituality. But what I noticed is that my whole life is about chasing excitement. And what's excitement? Excitement is an unexpected experience that's pleasurable. Okay? Trauma is an unexpected experience that's not pleasurable. Okay? That's the difference between excitement and trauma. Spirituality is not exciting. It's delightful. I love intimacy, and who doesn't want intimacy? But I'm scared of intimacy because intimacy means it means complete oneness with whatever you want to be intimate with, right? And that place is very scary because then there's no place for my pretend me. In that place of intimacy, the pretend me is the reality of who I am. What you see and what you project in me is what you're seeing. You're seeing through a pretend me some of the real me. And I'm seeing in you sometimes, at moments, I could see the real you. And that's what Simcha is, by the way. That's what I'm leading up to here. Simcha, the Rebbe says, HaKedusha dahainu ha-Simcha. Kedusha is Simcha. What is Simcha? Simcha is that connection of intimacy, of oneness, with no separations. No separations. It's not just a moment. What I do know about love is that the ultimate love, whenever you feel and you think you feel love, there's an intimacy there's an intimacy to love. The intimacy is not getting us the pleasure of the act. It's all because we are so distant from self. We're so distant from self that we want to feel the pleasure. And the pleasure, but the pleasure will be 10 times more delightful if we don't want to feel the pleasure. And that the reason why we're connecting is only because we want intimacy, we want the oneness. So we're really underneath the whole schmitzig of running around and playing around is all because we're searching for oneness. We're searching for, but we got it diluted and we got it all wired wrong to the place of the act instead of the place of the. This is a new thing that I'm learning. Okay, so I don't have it erased completely, but I'm gonna attempt going here. In the relationship of me, when I look at me, and she looks at her, and not at us, then there's a scoreboard. The scoreboard is how many good things did you do for me? How many good things did I do for you? And we're always comparing the scoreboard. What's the score? The score is 10-1. Now we go to the bad scoreboard, the negative scoreboard, and this it'll never be 100% balance of an even tie game. It'll never be a tie game. Okay? So, but in the us relationship, we are both equally responsible That's the place that no matter what the scoreboard is between me and you as two separate individuals, in the us relationship, the scoreboard is always 50-50, which is a huge revelation. There's 10 bad things about you, one bad thing. In the relationship, her 1 becomes 10 or my 10 becomes 1. Because if she's not willing to fix her 1 in the us, her 1 was just as damaging as my 10. Because the reason why I did 10 is because she has 1. So in us, it's 50-50. In the me, it's taka 10-1. When you want to separate us and look and you go to a therapist and you put it all out on the table, therapist is going to say, yeah, the score is 10-1. But what about in the us? If you're not willing to fix your 1, in the us, your 1 is 50%. It's not 10 and it's not 1, it's 50. And this is one of the biggest yesaitis in Shalom Bayis, and fixing Shalom Bayis is whenever you're fixing the thing, you're not understanding that the us part is now what? Now you asked before, is us God? 100%. Zacha, ish ve'isha, zacha, shchina shrui b'neim. Loi zacha, that's the ish, the yud k. Ish and isha, the famous word of ish and isha. Who is the third partner? Who creates the us? Where is... So in the us, it's connecting to Hashem. It's over there, it's I have to work on my weaknesses 100%, just like the other one, regardless of where the starting point is. Because we have a combined us, and the only way for us to have the combined us is when we understand that we have to fix ourselves 100% to give 50% into the yes. Acceptance is, I don't know if you were on when we learned Torah Lamed Gimel about peace and love, that you have to make shalom b'tivu ba'aku. Remember that Torah? That the only way to get to love is through peace. What's the peace? Make peace and acceptance. We learned over there that peace is acceptance. Accepting my aku, accepting my negativity, accepting my weaknesses. That's the whole of love cannot come without peace. I'm not accepting my weaknesses. First, you need to understand that the Rebbe is telling us that the only reason why you have Yoga V'Anocha is the Yoga V'Anocha is the disconnection from Kedusha, which is Simcha, which comes from ego. And I'm being medayik that the Lamoid Ben Atzad is the ego. That's what the ego does. Ego is, I'm standing up. I'm not weak. I'm not weak. Right. I'm not. Okay. Rabbi say we will continue tomorrow. Be'ez Hashem. Have a wonderful day, everybody.